public on matters listed for consideration at this meeting, and to also hear submissions on general matters. And the other public forum session will be held prior to confidential matters and will consider submissions from the public on matters considered by council at this meeting only. All councillors undertook an oath or an affirmation at the beginning of their term of office and declared to undertake the duties of the office of councillor and the best interests of the people of the Broken Hill local government area and the city of Broken Hill, and that they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. This council meeting is being streamed live via YouTube and recorded and published via council's website. For those present in the gallery today, by attending or participating in this public meeting, you're consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. The Mayor and/or General Manager have the authority to pause or terminate the stream if comments or debate are considered defamatory, otherwise inappropriate for publishing. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if they engage in unlawful behaviour or commentary. We have an apology from Councillor Jewett. We have a mover for the apologies. Moved Councillor Gallagher, seconded Councillor Jewett. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We have a leave of absence, Deputy Mayor Hickey, for family commitments. We have a mover for that to be accepted.
Move that way.
Councillor Chandler, seconded Councillor Allgate. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Could we have Councillor Boland for the prayer?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Almighty God, we ask you to invoke your blessing upon this council, direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Councillor Gallagher.
Yes, I wish to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the land of the Winnicali people, and pay our respect to those elders, past, present and emerging.
Councillor Allgate. Good morning.
We take time to reflect, remember and honour the over 800 miners that lost their lives and those that were crippled or maimed on the line of load. We thank the brave miners and their wives who were part of the 1919-1920 strike that lasted over 500 days and delivered a 35-hour working week. Mining is our past and our future.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. We move to public forum session. The first public forum session of 15 minutes will consider submissions from the public regarding matters listed for consideration at this meeting and also on general matters. The public have been advised through notices on council's website to register by 4 p.m. today if they wish to address council during the public forum session. Members of the public who are registered to address council will be given preference, and then if time permits, anyone else present in the public gallery may address council. Speakers are allocated 2 minutes. We have nil requests. Would anybody in the gallery like to bring up anything? No, all good. We have minutes for confirmation. We have a mover for the minutes. Move Councillor Gillett, seconded.
Second,
Councillor Byrne. Would either of you like to speak on that? No. No. Councillor Gallagher.
no, Mayor Kennedy.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Declare any disclosure of interest. Anyone in attendance have any disclosures of interest on the items tonight? No, nil disclosures. We move to mayoral minutes. The first mayoral minute is a private members bill, automated external defibrillators, public access bill. This is a bill to be sent to have defibrillators in all public spaces. Do we have a seconder for that?
Second,
Second, Councillor Gallagher. In theory, I support this bill, but people also need to consider that it's been made mandatory for fire testing. Fire testing is probably one of the most inconvenient bits of legislation that is imposed on all businesses, small businesses and big businesses alike, businesses that don't really need to have them, and it costs in excess of $700-800 a year and requires an annual and a half-yearly fire statement. I would hate to see that this just be another impost on small businesses or small charity groups. So when legislators look at passing these bills, they need to ensure that if it's passed, it is not just another burden on those businesses. The state government's responsible for the health of the well-being of our community and should make sure that they fund any requirement that has additional impacts on small businesses or non-for-profit or profit organisations that may be small. We have any other speakers on it?
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes, councillor Boland.
Yeah, the local paramedics, the volunteer one of the name has
St.
left-
John's.
St. John's, that's correct. They do a wonderful job of servicing the ones around town, and this bill comes up as I was in Sydney last week, and I caught up with, I think it was the Blue Wiggle that had a little bit of a run-in while doing a show, and he was talking about the importance of this and how he's still here entertaining people and with his family due to defibrillators being available and well serviced, and it's certainly a good proposal, and yes, hopefully there's no money going to put onto small businesses, but there is the local volunteer organisation that looks after it, and they happily take a donation for the service.
My big problem is the council has many facilities, so it's many facilities that council will have to have defibrillators at. Not only will we have to have them there, they'll have to be checked annually. We're looking at tens of thousands of dollars in another what is a cost shifting exercise. I know for a fact if I end up with one of my businesses, almost in virtually no chance I'll ever get to use it, but I'll be paying out over the period of time tens of thousands of dollars. Not just in buying it, but every few years you have to get another one. You also then have to service them, and the service is not free. At the moment with the fire statement, you have your hose checked, you have your extinguisher checked, $800. So this is the sort of thing that the government doesn't take into account. We all want to save lives, and they mention figures of how many people die from cardiac arrest each day. Most of those cardiac arrests happen in the home. So fine to use numbers and figures to say that you're going to save these, and there is people in Broken Hill who have been saved at sporting organisations with a defibrillator. That doesn't mean that the government needs to shirk its responsibility. If they bring it in, part of the bill needs to require that the cost be covered by the state government. And I can assure you right now, the state government's not going to cover it. Ordinary small businesses and non-profits will be the people that cover the cost of this. So great to have it, but the government needs to step up. If they're going to introduce it, then they need to cover the costs of having them serviced. Councillor Turley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just curious, at the moment, Mr. Mayor, how many defibrillators do we have in our public sporting facilities and other areas?
So all the sporting organisations that I was involved with did take on the free defibrillators that were provided by the state government, but they do still pay for them to be serviced. So I'd say in Broken Hill, just about every sporting group got one when it was made available.
I was particularly asking about our council buildings.
Yeah. You want to answer?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we have them at our larger facilities and our sporting organisations. Part of our work health and safety measurements around our employees as well. But as the Mayor mentioned, they are serviced regularly to ensure that the battery life's there, which obviously adds that additional cost. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, General Manager. Councillor Gallagher.
Yeah, just quickly, Mayor Kennedy. I totally support this motion, this mayoral minute. Defibrillators save lives. It's clearly and it's clear. There's nose in your face. Situation, small businesses should have defibrillators, and a lot of them do. But the cost of servicing and there's also in relation to government buildings. Sometimes them defibrillators aren't allowed to leave the building. They're used for that purpose in that building, and there's a lot of people that can save lives if small businesses have it. Totally support it, and that yes, the government, state government, should be totally funding the refurbishment and the battery life and the servicing of these vital units. It's, what does a person's life cost? Yeah, when it comes to funds, it's just ridiculous that, this has even come up.
Any other, councillor Allgate?
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. I'd just like to add the comment that although most of the ones I've seen are fairly simple to use, in an emergency where people haven't been exposed to a defibrillator, all sorts of things can go wrong. There really should be, with a hand in hand with the provision of a defibrillator, there should be some elementary training on the use of them because they can be used wrongly.
Yes, councillor Allgate and myself attended St John's, a very worthy organisation, and I do strongly suggest that people do, where possible, go to their first aid training, because it really does, could be the difference between life and death for people. Any other speakers? Councillor
Sorry,
Turley?
just had another question then. So with our defibrillators, Mr. Mayor, do our staffs have training around the defibrillators, how they operate? I know they're much simpler to use. I mean, compared to the old days, as we say, they're much simpler to use, but I'm guessing that there would be training provided.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Councillor Turley. Yes, staff are trained in use of the defibrillators, and a majority of our workforce also undertake mandatory first aid training each year as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great job. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2 is the first mayoral minute on the supplementary agenda. Support for Cobalt Blue Holdings Limited, Critical Minerals Batteries Recycling. The council take every opportunity to strongly advocate for the funding for the establishment of Cobalt Blue Holdings Critical Minerals Battery Recycling Project by repurposing the Broken Hill Cobalt Project demonstration plan at 14 Fernanda Road, Broken Hill, and move 1 and 3 as well. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Chandler. This is an important opportunity. 15 people work at Cobalt Holdings, Cobalt Blue. There's an opportunity here to potentially start a new facility in Broken Hill that will be a leader in recycling of lithium batteries. My understanding is you can recycle lithium for about a third the cost once you get down to the raw materials. Takes a little bit more to break down the plastics and that out of the battery components themselves, but the process that Cobalt has does produce lithium cheaper than it is to mine. Do you have any other speakers on that?
Kennedy?
Councillor Boland?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I spoke on something like this during the last term, and it's an exciting opportunity in recycling of batteries. You can recycle over 90% of the materials in them, and you also need a certain environment that is out here in Broken Hill. There's only one other large-scale recycling plant in the world, or there was 18 months ago in Arizona in the US, and it's been a very successful plant. And as more and more batteries come to their end of their life and they need recycling, this is going to be more and more important, and it's certainly a industry Broken Hill can be at the forefront and one of the first in the country to jump upon and grow it from there. So an exciting project. It's looks pretty affordable, and I'm very happy to support Cobalt Blue in seeking their support to do this project.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Councillor Turley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm happy to support this proposal. I'm curious, though, if we could have a briefing around the process for recycling and what out of the battery, what sort of waste would be left, or what's the opportunity for total recycling? I think that would be interesting for all the councillors.
That'd be easy, wouldn't it? Yep, no problem, Councillor Turley. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2 of the supplementary agenda, mayoral minute exclusion of Sacred Heart Parish Primary School from Broken Hill Primary Sports Association, PWSA carnivals and events. We have a seconder for that. Seconder, councillor Allgate. This is an important one. As most of the people in this room have been involved in Broken Hill or born in Broken Hill and involved in sport from a very young age or involved with those in sport, they know that the PWSA has always included all the schools in Broken Hill. It's always been a competition that public schools didn't care whether you came from the Catholic schools or any other school. They just played with kids. It's important that we continue to do this. We don't want to get to the situation where there's a them and us in Broken Hill. We also want to make sure that we grow PWSA, not diminish PWSA. Most people that are involved in sports in Broken Hill understand that sports and the participation, particularly amongst juniors, has dropped off since we have lost that combined Friday sports, which allowed all schools to play together on a Friday afternoon in many different sports. That allowed those children to feed into other sports, particularly weekends competitions. That has now gone. We now are in a situation where cricket has no junior teams. So it's only a matter of time before cricket falls over in Broken Hill. And that'll go the way of hockey, baseball, and many other sports that did not have those juniors coming in, which then resulted in those sports ceasing to exist. So as a council, we need to do all we can to make sure that we do keep particularly the PWSA as it is. If it doesn't go this way, it will, without a doubt, have an effect potentially. As the mayor regularly meet with people that already say there's not enough educational opportunities in Broken Hill, particularly when we get to high school level. We certainly don't want to have people leave Broken Hill because they decide that the school options in Broken Hill are being lessened. Also, I might note that every school teacher did vote on this, which means there was school teachers that maybe have been in the city for only a short period of time and didn't know the importance of PWSA to the fabric of Broken Hill. So we need to point that out. One of the concerns addressed by the public schools is the reduction in school numbers or enrolments into kindergarten. There is ways to address this, and the state government needs to look at the way they have the zoning for those schools. It's obvious that the zoning doesn't capture enough children in the schools that are affected, and perhaps they need to look at that rather than cause a division into the community we just don't need. Do we have any other speakers on the Councillor Turley? Then Councillor
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, are you aware of why it was proposed and what was the argument behind it? I'm quite shocked that this was supported. I think for anybody, you know, the PWSA is a way of bringing our students together. It's an opportunity for all across the whole of the city for people to be united. And I'm just shocked that in such a small community there's this division, and I'm just curious if you had any insight to why.
I understand it's for enrolments. So my understanding is that by taking away the PWSA, it could send a message to those parents that send their children to Sacred Heart Parish Primary School that if they can't play in PWSA and they feel excluded, then they may pick a public school, which is not ideal, and it's certainly not what we want to see in Broken Hill. The other thing, it's because of enrolments. The enrolments are down. Sacred Heart's enrolments have been going up over the last 10 years or so. When significantly, if you'd say for the whole school, 40 extra kids. So gone from about 110 up to about 150 or 60 kids. So not significant across 7 years or 8 years of schooling or 7 years of schooling. Councillor Allgate?
I just wondered, is PWSA as a statewide organisation, normally every year there's a PSA sports meet in Sydney Cricket Ground. I recall going there a long time ago myself. But surely individual towns can't exclude various bodies without it being accepted by PWSA as a whole.
The Sacred Heart's not a public school. It's a
No, public or
independent.
private. There shouldn't be the distinction. I'm talking about schools are schools.
So we're in one of the situations where we are involved in PWSA. Other areas that have more schools have their own competitions. Catholic schools across the state, closer to Sydney and all that, can have their competitions because there's many other schools to compete against. In
Yes.
Broken Hill, we don't have that. So it is up to, so the motion was put to the organisation, I believe, at short notice. It was put on the agenda only a couple of days before the meeting was to be had. The principal of the Sacred Heart wasn't at the meeting itself, but it is up to the association in town itself.
Yeah, I just find it real strange to exclude one particular school, irrespective of the reasons. The reason, I don't see the reasons as being dropping numbers, falling numbers at schools and that to be any contributing factor personally. I think there's something more that must motivate this. I mean, since time began, all schools in Broken Hill were entitled to participate in PWSA events. Not just the Catholic schools, not just the public schools. All of a sudden, a group who have taken it on themselves to exclude one school. Will there be other schools excluded as time progresses? I wonder.
I think it's just to do with public independent. The public school teachers don't believe that an independent school should be in the Public School Sports Association. Councillor Boland, if you could add to your motion that we also ask that the state government look at other ways to increase enrolments in the schools that are low on numbers.
What motion was that, Mayor Kennedy?
Your motion, just at number 8, that also add that that the state government look at other ways, potentially maybe zone changing to make sure that the schools that are low on enrolment numbers are able to achieve higher enrolments to make that continue to keep their schools viable.
Yep, can do.
Oh, yeah. Councillor Byrne?
Yeah, I fully support this as well, Mayor Kennedy. I myself participated regularly in PWSA back in the day. Look forward to Friday afternoon sports and Saturday morning cricket and football. Unfortunately, PWSA in Broken Hill is a fraction of what it used to be. So by excluding a school based on some kind of administration, issue as just punishing the kids and as further inflating the problem that we don't have that participation anymore. We should be doing everything we can to have the kids in Broken Hill participate more in sport rather than using an administration issue to to exclude schools from these from these sporting type things.
Yeah, I agree. Any other debate? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We have nil notices of motion, nil rescission motions. We have a nil written reports from delegates, but we have Councillor Boland that would like to give a verbal report on the LG New South Wales Annual Conference Delegates Report.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I'll just find it. There it is. So this is my delegates report from the LG New South Wales 2024 annual conference held at Tamworth. I think it was last week. I would like to thank the Mayor and Council for allowing me to attend this conference as a voting delegate for Broken Hill. Broken Hill City Council had 5 motions submitted for consideration, with all 5 being passed, although the motion to force the state government to pay for remediation of contaminated land created debate that was well outside of the LG New South Wales scope and show that LG New South Wales as an organisation is far too metro focused. The 5 Broken Hill motions which all passed were the following: advocacy for increase to financial assistance grants, the abolishment of new cemeteries tax, waste levy boundaries, funding for upgrades to regional airports, and the state government to pay for remediation of contaminated land. A lot of those are dealt with passing expenses on to councils. The lack of support shown by LG New South Wales regarding the waste levy has been disappointing. Taking 3 months to receive a response, and I know the response was emailed by the General Manager yesterday. If this was to be implemented, it would cost Broken Hill residents and businesses thousands of dollars in extra waste costs per year with no benefits for Broken Hill. Up to 2021, $4 billion have been raised through this levy, with only a quarter going towards recycling projects. The rest of it is disappeared in the state consolidated revenue. This is cost shifting at its best. A further concern about the direction of LG New South Wales came during the motion that forced the state government to pay for remediation of contaminated land. A 21-year-old first-time Northern Beaches Green councillor led the way by proposing an amendment to the motion that stated LG New South Wales calls on New South Wales state government to ban all mining in New South Wales. I'll just add that I had a great time debating that motion and informed her that maybe she better hand her phone in and turn her power off when she gets home. The motion ended up passing with the words, mining companies and state governments pay for the remediation of contaminated lands. This Greens council has stated that mining companies set up shell companies that then go into liquidation, leaving mining communities with contaminated land. All this Northern Beaches councillor showed is that she has no idea about mining and mining leases in New South Wales and the environmental bond held by the government. Since the election and the increase in greenback councillors, LG New South Wales has veered even further left and has further failed to represent the interest of regional areas. The way the association voting is structured, it benefits the metro areas and their crazy green motions. The concerns for me as an elected representative of the City of Broken Hill is that these motions are being presented to the state government as having full support of every local government area in the state when it couldn't be further from the truth. The motions that have been up for debate over the past few years including this year, include such thought bubbles as banning mining, banning four-wheel drives, banning bull bars, banning the sale of petrol vehicles. These Metro Green councillors seem to love the word ban. This shows no understanding for regional issues from a bunch of inner city left-leaning councils. LG New South Wales should not be seen as supporting motions that would devastate other councils, communities and economies. And I might just add that the Green councillor from the Northern Beaches had no idea of the challenges facing mining communities from her place of privilege on the Northern Beaches of Sydney. She's a quintessential goat cheese eating North Shore elitist who takes great pleasure in telling working class people and working class communities how they should live their lives from her ivory towers overlooking the Northern Beaches. I'm sure that sea breeze is lovely on a day when Sydney is running out of power. So much for their green dream.
Have a second to your report.
I've just got and I just want to ask one question of my report. The question must be asked by council: is this organisation acting in the best interest of the City of Broken Hill and the residents? I would say the answer is a defining no. That is my report tabled. Thank you, Mayor.
Seconder, Councillor Gallagher. Any speakers on his Councillor Boland's report? All those in favour? Councillor Chandler.
Yeah, me and Councillor Gillett went to the same conference and yeah, right behind Michael. It was he did a swell speaking up for us. So yeah, great to see Michael being there. He's done a terrific job.
Excellent. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Committee reports. Neil, we move on to reports. Item number 1 is LG New South Wales support to council regarding the waste service levy. Do we have a Councillor Boland?
I'll move that way with I'd like to propose an amendment to that motion.
Are you just moving the motion? You move it as you
Second.
want.
Yes.
Second.
I move item one, that the Broken Hill City Council report number 175-24 dated November 20th, 2024 be received. Item two, that it is noted that LG New South Wales took 3 months follow up from initial correspondence requesting support for Broken Hill City Council submission on the waste services levy review and the disappointment that has caused. Item three, that Broken Hill City Council notes a number of motions and amendments that were argued at the LG New South Wales conference were not in the interest of Broken Hill or regional New South Wales. Broken Hill delegates were shocked that the conference considered banning mining in New South Wales. Through not pass, it was debated as a reasonable course of action. Item four, it is noted that concerns of being part of an organisation that's considered by the state government to have the unanimous support of New South Wales councils and the risk it poses when the city-centric councils can pass resolutions that can have the potential to discriminate regional communities that have no empathy for those communities. That Broken Hill, item five, that Broken Hill City Council notes that it is disappointed that LG New South Wales advocacy at the state government level is centred around metropolitan councils. Item six, the Broken Hill City Council immediately resigns our membership from LG New South Wales and sends correspondence to LG New South Wales of our decision. Item seven, that Broken Hill City Council considers rejoining.
Mayor, I'll step outside the chamber.
Thank you,
and
councillor
declare a
Turley.
conflict of interest.
Thank you. Continue, councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Item seven, that Broken Hill City Council considers rejoining LG New South Wales when we can given a guarantee that motions from member councils will not be considered that have potential to destroy the economies of other members' councils. And if I could add a point 8 regarding the PWSA, that the state government looks at other ways.
Oh,
No?
no, that was, I was looking at something else. That was put in.
I was wondering why it was on that. Well,
Yeah.
if that's said, that is my finish there.
Thank you, councillor Boland. We have a seconder for that,
Second that, I
councillor.
just wonder if the mover could put at item 7, if we can be given a written guarantee.
Yeah, you happy with that?
Happy
councillor
with that,
Boland?
Mayor Kennedy.
I'm happy to second it.
Speakers on it?
Well, through you, oh, sorry.
Councillor Chandler, yeah, hand first.
Yeah, I looked at this early in the first term on councillor and I can see what Mike's on about and yeah, we're not getting enough for this council out of the LG New South Wales. I don't think we're getting our dollars worth of it.
Yep, that's it, councillor Chandler. Councillor Allgate?
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. I think this is an absolute insult to the council. It shows that the regional councils like Broken Hill and some of the Western Division councils really are not considered at all. And anybody that gives some consideration to this motion that was before the local government New South Wales initially, that the local government New South Wales supported, that they have a survey and to see what sort of support they'd get for an expansion of the boundaries. Surely some of those people involved in making that decision had an understanding of the ramifications financially in terms of what it would cost councils like Broken Hill. And our general manager at the outset provided us with information that at a minimum it would cost us $4 million a year. That would be $4 million made up of round about, on average, $400 per household. Money that from town going out of town, a loss of $4 million. And what will we get in return? Absolutely nothing. And it's even on record that the government whilst its purpose was to fast track and improve all recycling methods and look into the overall waste disposal as a whole, most of the money went to other uses. It wasn't used for the purpose it was supposedly to be used for, and the reason it was raised. I just can't. This is a classic cost shifting exercise in the same way as the emergency services levy is. They're just ridiculously governments are finding ways to shelve their responsibility and place financial burdens on councils, and councils in the western area, or regional councils as a whole, can't afford it. And I'd be pretty confident that there's some that are already inside the boundaries that can't afford it either. So I think the motion is a good one, and if we were to ever get a response from the local government New South Wales that they could give us a written guarantee, well then perhaps we consider rejoining. As far as I'm concerned, we pay them a lot of money, we get nothing from them, and if we do seek their support, we pay for it.
Councillor Byrne?
Yes, I want to make a comment that yes, while there 3 months was, in my opinion as well, a long time to follow up on the initial correspondence. The actual correspondence does say that there must be no expansion to the waste levy area, and that is from local LG New South Wales. So they do support what we are saying with the no expansion of any levy. I think by resigning the membership is a little bit far. I think if we're on the outside, we have no way of fighting any of these things, and we'll just cop things that are coming up in these sorts of meetings and we'll have no voice at all. So being a member of LG New South Wales is helping us advocate for especially things like this, where they do agree with our position. There must be no expansion of the waste levy.
Thank you. Look, for me, it costs $45,000 to have activists and politically grandstanders that the media pick up on when they say they should ban mining in New South Wales. Just all remember now that they're already at the point where they're talking about banning coal mining in New South Wales. Actions have consequences. And what happens is, when you are part of an organisation that has the unanimous support, remember, only recently LG New South Wales had all 128 councils on board. So what's said at those conferences do have an impact. And what happens is state and federal governments are quite happy to grab hold of whatever they want to grab hold of. By us pulling out, it means it's not 128 councils, it's 127 councils. It means they don't represent the whole of New South Wales. And I'm quite happy to support your motion simply because of what you said about banning mining in New South Wales. We need to send a clear message to Northern Beaches or Manly or Randwick or Coogee or wherever else they come from. You bring this crap up at conferences, we'll pull out. We don't want to be part of your organisation. I don't want to be part of an organisation that has no respect for my community. If the mine's closed in Broken Hill tomorrow, how many people would lose their jobs? How much respect do these councils have for our communities? I don't want to be part of it. I not only support your motion, Councillor Boland, I think it's fantastic. Send a message. We pulled out because you allowed them to debate banning mining in Broken Hill. You ban mining in Broken Hill, or even talk about banning mining in Broken Hill. We want nothing to do with you. So I support it 100%. Councillor Byrne and then Councillor Gallagher.
I just want to put out as well that I do no means support any kind of banning of mining in Broken Hill. Otherwise, I'd be able to job myself. So what I was proposing is there's two different things to this motion. One is the waste, which we agree on, but I do not agree with anyone that says was the ban mining in New South Wales and Australia alone. It was obviously mentioned by a lefty green that's not the entire LG New South Wales. That's just one guy from like you said, a goat cheese eating person sitting on the Northern Beaches with the breeze in their hair. the fact that that didn't get up probably supports the fact that LG New South Wales is very aware of what, mining contributes to New South Wales and contributes to our town.
We've been involved in these debates, and over time, you see these debates evolve, where they get beaten once, get beaten twice. They keep on coming to the point where they win. When they do win, even though it won't have a direct impact, what happens is it causes debate in the media. So what happens is, before you know it, they get enough momentum. Then they start talking about, what's the necessity of mining in New South Wales? It's not as big as Western Australia. We can get all the mining we need from Western Australia, and this is where it goes. So what we need to do is take the front foot, say to LG New South Wales, don't even allow these debates to go on. Don't allow debates that can decimate a community. Don't allow things that are brought up by activists. Let's face it, local government doesn't decide whether mining is banned in New South Wales, but what they can do is start the conversations. And once the conversations are started, then it can cause real problems. So let's send a clear message to everyone in New South Wales. You talk about this, and hopefully 10 other councils in the Parkes electorate, because we have 10 mining communities in the Parkes electorate that rely on mining. Hope all 10 pull out. And let's see if LG New South Wales then says, hang on, North Shore, you've got to stop putting these motions in and talking and bringing up things that affect communities and has the potential not only to affect a community, destroy a community. We've all been in Broken Hill when there's been a mining downturn. When we have a mining downturn, house prices plummet, people start leaving, schools numbers start dropping off. You won't have to worry about school enrolments if our mines start closing. So let's not give any of these city-orientated councils the opportunity to say it again. We pulled out, for me, I pull out solely for that statement. Councillor Gallagher?
Yeah, I totally commend this motion, and I'm happy that they're LG actually going against the waste which was originally mentioned. But the situation is, what they've got to realise is mining royalties in Australia have come and made some great nations and some great towns. Broken Hill alone has given so much to Australia, so much business to Australia, so much money in Australia. And it's an insult to the city of Broken Hill that we get asked to stop mining. What ridiculous. As the Mayor said, 10 mining communities, LG areas in the Parkes electorate alone. That's not saying the Barwon where we all live here. It's ludicrous. It should not be mentioned. It shouldn't have been brought up. It should have been got rid of even before it started. So I totally support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Byrne?
Like I said, I totally agree. I just think that when we're not in the room, what happens? We need to be in the room to argue these things, that we are 10 councils, that we do disagree with that. When we're not in the room and there's 10 councils on the room, what happens then? We don't have a voice.
The way we have a voice is we start looking at Western divisions, we grow it, we get 30, 40 councils, and we start being an alternative voice, a voice of reason when it comes to talking about mining or talking about the fact that we need to have diesel engines out here in the bush because we have no chargers to charge battery-powered cars, or that their range is 200 kilometres and we can't travel to where we need to go. They're the voices of the reasons. They're the things that a lot of these metropolitan councils don't understand. That same lady there said that government subsidised mining. Broken Hill's paid for the whole World War I and II efforts in Australia. Where do these people and their thinking comes from? This is, you know what, when we pull out, and she understands that we pulled out for the reason she brought it up, maybe she does a bit of homework, or the people involved in local government do a bit of homework and say, oh, hang on, mining companies don't get subsidised by the government. They account for 1/3 of the Australian wealth and our export dollars.
Don't forget the expressway between Sydney and Gosford, Broken Hill.
Exactly. Councillor Allgate?
I just agree with what the Mayor said and with what has been said up to this point. Councillor Gallagher's points were similar to mine. I just hark back to in the late 30s and through to the mid 40s, Broken Hill, the royalties from Broken Hill kept New South Wales going. In fact, it kept the country going. If you look back at the figures that the royalties that were generated from Broken Hill over the life of the mines, even up to date, it's significant. And anybody with an ounce of common sense would know that if the mining companies like Broken Hill and especially also like coal, where would the New South Wales government get its money from? Anybody with an ounce of common sense knows that the livelihood of the communities is, relies on money, and money is generated by mining. And until such time as these people, these greenies in their North Sydney bubble, understand what the world's all about, we're fighting uphill. But I'm proud of the fact that I know my parents and my grandparents who worked on the mines, they knew what Broken Hill did during the war years, during the Second World War years, and we should all be very proud of what Broken Hill achieved during that time.
We have a lower life expectancy than everyone else, but we still keep on going. And this is the thanks we get. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I think it also needs to be noted when it comes to LG New South Wales, how unfair the voting system is, where the metro councils get more of a vote than a regional council. So a lot of times in the room, it doesn't matter how well you debate, the metros are going to get up. And I think the Greens councillor from the Northern Beaches was so proud of her effort of attacking Broken Hill and the Broken Hill delegation that she posted it to her Instagram page, which it outlines everything there. So we know what she's about. We know that the voting is skewed towards the metro. So how can we get a chance? And when I was defending Broken Hill during the debate, all I was getting was booed and heckled from Green Metro councillors in the room that have no respect for Broken Hill. And we know what Broken Hill does when we're not showing the respect. We make a point and we make sure they know that Broken Hill and our mining history and our mining future will not be put at jeopardy because of some North Shore Greens councillor that thinks that an iPhone just comes from the shop with no minerals in it whatsoever.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. All those in favour? Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Boland, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Chandler, Councillor Gillett, and myself against, Councillor Byrne. I declare the motion carried. Councillor Turley, the report was received, was noted, took 3 months to send correspondence. The council notes a number of motions, amendments. One was to do with mining, banning mining. It's noted concerns of being part of an organisation that has the potential to risk, as it's unanimous, that Broken Hill Council notes the disappointing advocacy of state government. Broken Hill immediate resigns from the LG, sends correspondence, and the Broken Hill Sandy considers rejoining LG if it is given a guarantee that motions from member councils will not be considered that have the potential to destroy the economies of other members if it was passed. Item number two.
Mr. Mayor, can I just thank the council for the opportunity of the time that I've spent as president? It certainly was an honour, certainly attracted ministers to Broken Hill and the investment that we have. And also just pointing out the obvious that the Western Division is also affected with that outcome. So thank you for all that. Sorry about the husky voice. I've got a bit of a cold sitting over here.
Thank you, councillor Turley. Item number 2, appointment of new members to the Western Regional Planning Panel. Have a mover for the recommendation.
That way.
Move councillor Allgate, seconded councillor Gallagher. Speak to that, councillor Allgate.
It's all in the report. I think the only thing that I missed is there needs to be a councillor, 1 or 2 councillors appointed, is that right? At least one, I think.
Alternate
Alternate
area
councillors,
and 2
yeah.
alternate members being a councillor for the meeting.
Yeah.
And so councillor Allgate, you want to move someone?
Yeah, move that way.
Who are you moving? To be
Oh,
the
no,
second
well,
council, deputy mayor. Yeah, it can't be deputy mayor. Councillor Allgate, you happy to move yourself?
Yeah.
Yep. Second, happy to do that? Speak to that?
no, it's all in the report.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3, draft annual report. Do we have a mover for the draft annual report?
Right.
Move councillor Allgate, seconded.
Seconded.
Councillor Gallagher, councillor Allgate.
I think it's a good annual report. In fact, the last 3 have been really good, I thought. For members of the community, if members of the community are interested in how the council's going, when you flick through the body of the report and see what's been achieved in the last 12 months, the period that's covered by this annual report, you'll just understand the wealth of achievements that have been, if not completed, near completed. Things like, the things that stand out is the paving in the CBD in Argent Street. Things like the netball courts, which is progressing well. The library, the airport. There lots of things have been achieved. Some finished, some well on the way to being finished, and many more to be done this year as well. That will be finished probably sometime early next year. The carryovers have been voted for the other things next year, but at least in this report, it not only tells you how we're going financially, but it also tells you what we've done, benefits, the things that benefit everybody in the community, not just individual groups, the whole of the community.
Thank you, councillor Allgate. Any other councillors? Look, it's a really important document, and it's a document that people, if they do have the time, that may be listening or in the gallery, it's a really good document to see what council does for the year. It talks about everything that happens, so really good document. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 4, public presentation of the financial statements. Councillor Boland,
Yes, I'll move that way.
seconded. Councillor Gallagher, councillor Boland.
Yes, important document. I know a few people get put to sleep by reading it, but it's an important document, and it goes, when it's released to the community and they can have a look at it, it shows that council is in good financial state, and everything's going where it should be going. We're looking after ratepayers' money, and as we mentioned, as our councillor Allgate mentioned, lots of projects underway or near completion. So all the details are in there, and everything's signed off. So it's looking good.
Thank you, councillor Boland. Any other councillors? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 5 is the quarterly budget review statement for the period ended 30th September 2024. Councillor Boland, happy to move that?
Yes, I'll move that way.
Seconded. Councillor Allgate, councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I note the operating surplus before capital of 4,000. So a surplus is a surplus, but the main number there is 36.1 million in projected net capital budget expenditure. That includes our projects and things like that coming online. So it's all budgeted there on our balance scenario, which is very important. I know in the former term, Councillor Page was always mentioning surpluses and dates and stuff like that. But it's good to see that balance scenario coming together. And obviously, as we come out of COVID and then the higher inflationary period, it's good to see everything under control and the budget on track.
For sure. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 6 is the investment report for October. Councillor Boland.
I'll
happy
move
with
that one.
Yep, seconded.
Second away.
Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Again, as we know, this is a well-balanced investment portfolio. Being a new term of council, it may be time that we did another briefing session for newly elected councillors around the portfolio and how it's balanced. But today's the CPI figures come out and inflation was lower again. So several people at government were beating their chest, but when you pull the figures out and you look at underlying inflation, that actually went up from 3.3% to about 3.5%. And why that underlying inflation, which is all your items that can fluctuate quite severely month over month, is taken out. So why that underlying inflation continues to go higher, I'm afraid if you've got a large mortgage, interest rates aren't going anywhere, but if you've got some cash under term deposit like council has, it's a good news.
Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 7, the development application 50/2024, construction of the new multi-purpose garage workshop, 1 Warnock Street, Council Works Depot. We have a move for that.
Move the recommendation.
Move Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Chandler. Councillor Allgate. Speak to that.
All I can say is this report is long overdue. That the existing workshop at the Warnock Street Depot, as far as I'm aware, has had a few minor modifications, but the bulk of the building as it now stands has been there for more than 60 years. And 20 or 30 years ago, when I worked 20 years ago, when I worked for the council, they were struggling to do the work that was expected of them at that time. And, you know, we've built some beautiful things around the town, but at the expense of not looking after the premises where our employees work on a day-to-day basis. And this would be a good start. The hub of the Warnock Street Depot is the workshop. The garage workshop, and I think once the funding becomes available to do this, it'll be a boon to the town, because as I said earlier, it's long overdue.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Any other speakers? Councillor Chandler.
Yeah, I actually worked for the council back in the 80s, and we used to use our trucks to get serviced in that depot, and it was pretty rough then. And it is really long overdue. We only back up what Bob says. It's about time we're going to move into the 21st century. We need that.
Yeah, look, besides the facility itself, it's really important to make sure that council supports the workforce. By supporting the workforce, it demonstrates that council is committed to the longevity of our daily paid workforce in the council. And what that does is it gives confidence to people that may want to work for council. It gives confidence to the organisation as a whole, and it gives council confidence to the community. So I'm very proud as a council or as the mayor to support this, and I hope that it does get up. All those in favour? Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Turley, Councillor Byrne, Councillor Boland, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Chandler, Councillor Gillett, and myself. In favour, I declare it carried unanimously. Community assistance grants awarded for round 2 of 2024 to 25. Do we have a mover for those?
I'll move that way with amendment.
Moved Councillor Turley, seconded Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Turley.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to raise one issue with you, and I'm happy to move this, but also I wondered if the council would consider that, given that we have $8,705 left over, that the People's First, which is about the creation of an area for distribution of meals, already does the Feeding Friends meals, already does a meal for every rough sleeper every day has access to one meal. And they've applied for funds before but missed out, but they do such an incredible service. And I just wonder if there was consideration for including funding for them in this round.
Councillor Gallagher, like to speak to that?
I'd like to speak against the amendment.
Well, probably, I don't think it's an amendment. I think you've just moved the motion, haven't you, councillor Turley?
Yeah, I made the motion, but I asked if council would consider that there was funding allocated to People's First. And I won't take it away from the committee, but I just think that people would be aware that there is a restructure for Feeding Friends, that the People's First, and sounds like a political party, but we all know that it's David and Marianne Trinder and the incredible work they do. And I just think that if there was any consideration, I'll leave it to the chair to decide, but I just wanted to put that forward.
So I'm sure they'll be able to reapply at
They
any
will be.
time. But councillor Gallagher, you
Yeah,
want to
that
talk
was-
about the processes that, so it is a committee that looks at all that goes before it and then determines how donations are distributed via the money that is there. That $8,000 that hasn't been spent goes into the next round. So it's not as if that money won't be spent and there is opportunity for people to reapply. But would you like to just speak on that?
Look, most definitely. Thank you, Mayor Kenny, for the opportunity. There's the committee's decision. What we do is we rank each and every person that makes application. It goes into a ranking system, and that did rate fairly high, but it didn't rate into the value of where we thought the value of the money. The situation is, the decision was that there was other avenues available for people to be fed in relation to People's First, and where the food can be distributed to the needy. It's the actual St Vincent de Paul and other areas which were seen available for that sort of avenue. And that was not a long term, it was just a one-off. It wasn't going on continuing, it was only for a short period of time.
Mr. Mayor, could I just make a comment?
Yep. Councillor Holgate.
The decision was unanimous in this particular instance. The independent people on the committee all voted for it. I don't see, I really don't see the worth in having a committee that makes a recommendation. I know that's only an advisory committee, but it's made a recommendation based on the information that was provided to them, and it was quite comprehensive what was provided. And now the council's going to, is considering undoing it. I don't think that's proper.
No, I don't think that's they're considering undoing it. I think it's just been put out there. So if councillors like to just add then that we write to the People's First and just inform them that it can apply in the future, and maybe being given guidance how they may be more successful in the future.
I'd be happy to move that.
Mr. Mayor, given that it's the second time that council hasn't supported their application, perhaps, and excuse me, I've got a terrible froggy voice, but considering it's the second time that council hasn't supported their application, perhaps one of our council officers could spend some time with them to help them through this process. The work they do is inspirational in our community, their vision, what they wanted to deliver. Although, as Councillor Gallagher said, there is other services that are there, but these would add value and already add value. Feeding Friends is already an outstanding program. So if we could have one of our staff members help provide on the ground support to them for their application.
So you're happy to add to your original motion that they be invited to reapply and be given guidance on how to be successful in the future?
Yes, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, councillor Gallagher, you're happy to accept that?
Yeah, I'm happy to accept that.
Yeah. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Declared unanimously. Item number 9 is the minutes of the local traffic committee meeting. Don't think
Oh.
I've
just got a question regarding one of the items in that.
councillor Allgate, were you at that meeting?
I was at that meeting, yes.
Yeah. So we have a new councillor Brown, so moved councillor Allgate, seconded.
I just have a
councillor
question.
Bolt. You
I
happy to second it?
I can second it, yeah, and I
second
just
it.
have a question regarding
Yep.
an item.
Go, councillor Bolt.
Item number 452.8.1, request for relocated and loading zone on Argent Street to Selfridge Street adjacent to Palace Hotel. I had contact from the owner of the Palace Hotel that when the pavers were being put down, the council staff came out and one section has been concreted. And that was to allow for keg deliveries as to not damage the new paving tiles. And the truck has been parked there and has received a fine because it's not a loading zone. So the recommendation was that the loading zone remains unchanged, and they've been unloading the kegs in that area and damaging the new pavers. And the recommendations come that to put plastic matting down to take delivery of the kegs, but that may be an OH&S issue with people with wheelchairs or gophers or things like that. I'm just wondering, that's basically the question, and if it can be reviewed again, especially though that work's been done to put that concrete strip in, so the new pavers aren't damaged.
That can be taken to the traffic committee meeting, and I'm sure councillor Allgate will bring that up as well.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that particular item was the subject of discussion. There's no doubt about that. And I can't vote on it. I'm only an observer. But the three people that were there to vote voted unanimously to leave the loading zone where it is, for the very reason that parking is at a premium in that Salford Street area. I really don't understand the process that's happened, but apparently there's been a concrete slab put down for unloading the kegs in Salford Street. And the first or second time that they used it, the brewery used it, they got pinged for unloading, stopping in the loading zone. So all three people at the meeting that were present voted in favour of the fact that the loading zone is where it ought to be, and the Palace, there's a responsibility for the Palace Hotel people to lay down some form of rubber matting or whatever. Having said that, their cellar doors around the corner, so it's got to be a long mat.
Yeah.
To get it around, and I believe that based on what Councillor Bollner says, I believe that there is the appearance of some minor damage already on pavers. That's what I'm told.
I've got pictures that have been forwarded to me that I can forward to the general manager.
It can be brought up again anyway, councillors. We want to make sure we get the best outcome, so that'll be readdressed.
The other matter on the agenda was a late item of correspondence from the owner of a hairdressing salon in Oxide Street, just around the corner from the bank, adjacent to where there are two taxi ranks. It was put, the owner put it to the committee that the taxi ranks are not used. They haven't been used for months and months, and I'd agree that that is a fact. it was agreed by those that had the right to vote that after some discussion, that the cab ranks could be turned into parking for public patrons, public parking, and taxi ranks moved or disappear. I don't know whether that's in train or it was due to the way I understood the committee. They said that they'd have a look at the matter in the next few days and they would take the appropriate action.
Right.
So, you know, based on that, I would suggest that the owner of the premises is quite happy.
Always, always important to make sure you do have the availability of taxis. Even if they're not there, people will soon understand if there isn't an opportunity. We do have had that brought up with schools and everything else. When there's not a taxi rank there, you soon understand the importance of a taxi rank.
After tonight, there'll probably be taxis parking there.
I think so. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The action list report, councillor Gallagher, you happy to move that?
Move that way.
Councillor Byrne, seconded. Anything?
It's good to see, there's green appearing, then the amber. So it's good to see we're moving forward.
Thank you. No other speakers? No? Councillor Byrne?
No, just echoing what councillor Gallagher said, the green's coming up, so it's good. We're
Yep.
moving forward.
Always want to see lots of green. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Questions taken on notice from the previous council meeting. We have a mover for that. Move councillor Byrne, seconded councillor Gallagher. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Questions arising from this meeting for the next meeting. We have any councillors wish to speak on that? No. Public forum session. The second public forum session will consider submissions from the public regarding matters that were considered by council at this meeting only. Speakers are allocated 2 minutes each to address council. Does anyone in the gallery like to speak? No. We have nil confidential matters. That concludes our meeting. As there is no further business for council to consider, I declare the ordinary council meeting closed